openevents.io, and we have github.com/open-events, and github.com/open-events without the hyphen is taken by another organization. So that's kind of the awkwardness there. I don't think that awkwardness is worth doing a name change. So my vote is just to keep it as open events and just adopt the GitHub org that has open-events.
Okay. I personally have a little bit of a concern with another org being called open events without a dash, and then we're going to be called open events with a dash. I think people are going to mistype that a lot. But I want to hear what other people think in terms of naming.
So one quick question, William here. Why not keep it under the CNCF organization and just as another repo? Like why do we need another organization for this fact?
Yep. Okay. Excellent question. And Dan, maybe
Dan Kahn here.
Yeah.
We just the way the CNCF works, because almost all the projects start externally and then become a member of CNCF. We just don't tend to host things under the CNCF org. And so we have a small number of internal projects like the DevStats community that's doing statistics that we started internally, but all 14 of our projects are under their own orgs.
Okay, thanks. Makes sense.
Any other comments, questions?
Also having our own GitHub org is going to be a necessity, if not now, but in the near future, because we're going to work on this specification, which is going to exist in one repo. And then I assume, and we're not sure about this yet, but I assume we're going to start building some tooling to help support the specification, libraries, adapters, whatever. So even if we don't have a GitHub org today, I think we'll need one in probably like a month or two.
Yep, I would tend to agree with that. I do think we're going to have other ancillary projects along with it too. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, hold on a minute. Okay, any other comments about naming?
So maybe should we call serverless event, something like that?
Say that again, Kathy. So call it what?
I mean serverless.
Serverless dash or serverless event.
Serverless, yeah, serverless there.
I thought there was a concern about that because people didn't want to associate this event format with just serverless. They wanted it to be possibly used for broader use cases. But what do other people think?
I'm going to echo that concern. Events is bigger than serverless. We're just kind of the working group that's starting this off and focused on it because it's a highly relevant concept to the serverless architecture in general. So this is also a bit awkward because it's definitely the subject matter is bigger than serverless. But so in my opinion, I would go with something for now that's not serverless specific, because in order to make an impact with this effort, I think we need to build traction. And we're going to get a lot more traction, I think, if it's not a serverless specific type of thing. I'm already receiving a lot of requests from different verticals and stuff who are interested in this for a lot of different reasons. And some of them are serverless related reasons and some of them aren't. So I think for now, my suggestion would be to not include serverless in the name, make it seem a little bit more broad than that. But yeah, open to considering it in the future and how we might change it.
Okay, I'm just trying to list out the ones that I think I've heard in the past. Common event format, I think also.
We had cloud.
What was that?
We had cloud events at one point.
Is cloud events GitHub org taken, or is that available? I'm wondering. Let's see. I guess I could check that myself. Cloud events. No, it is out there. I wonder who owns it. So that's another one to think about. Any other suggestions for things to consider? You guys are awfully quiet today, although we have a very short attendee list today. I wonder why. I wonder if people are starting to take vacations. So, okay, let me do this. I heard some concern with serverless events. open eventing with a new name. I'm sorry, open event. Okay, hold on, I mistyped that. Open events, get it open dash events, cloud events. That one get taken. Hold on. Open eventing is what we have right now available to us. So what do people think? Open some sort of doodle poll to see what people think. I'm a little nervous on making a formal decision on this call because we have so few people and a lot of the regular attendees are not on the call. But I'd like to get
maybe we could delay this. I mean, I don't think it's a super urgent matter.
No, it's not. I was just hoping to maybe get some more brainstorming going, but if you guys don't have any other ideas, give another second to think about something brilliant before we move on.
Hey guys, this is Chad. I've actually heard that sometimes GitHub will transfer over an organization if it has no activity in the past couple of years. So you could potentially consider cloud events. It's not necessarily my +1. I'm just saying that's an option.
Yeah, interesting. So hold on a minute. Is there any way to tell?
What you can't see is private activity. So all you have to go off of is the public activity.
Yeah. So publicly, does it show completely dead for a while? I guess it doesn't really say a whole lot, does it?
Yeah, but it might be private. So you just have to email them. I've heard of cases where they've relinquished the org.
Okay. Well, tell you what, let me ask this question. I don't mind taking the action item to send out that email, but what do people think about cloud events?
I think it's good actually. Or we can say cloud if we are concerned about it has been used, we can use cloud eventing or cloud event, something like that.
Okay.
Without the S, just.
I've always been open to that name. I think it's also interesting. It diverges from this open pattern that we see more and more these days. Maybe that's a good thing. I'm not sure, but I like that it's cloud specific.
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you what, before we make a decision, let me send the note off to GitHub and see if they're willing to transfer that to us, if that's the way we want to go. So actually, let me back up. If we can actually get that name, is that what people would like us to settle on? Because I don't want to ask GitHub to do any investigation if people think there's going to be an objection to it.
Maybe. So there's a few people that I'd like to invite to this meeting who can't make it today. Some people who were, highly involved in the earlier efforts. If we could maybe just postpone this for one week, and then do a name vote next week, I think, and hopefully we'll have more people attending, even though I know it's getting close to Christmas.
Yeah.
I would suggest just doing that and making sure everyone knows all the options that we're considering.
Okay. I tell you what, then I won't ask GitHub formally to transfer it us if it is available, but I will ask them if it might be under consideration if we decide we want to go with it and see what they come back with.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the best path.
Okay, excellent, cool, thanks guys. Any other last minute suggestions people can think of? All right, cool. In that case, relative to the new repo itself, I spoke with Chris Anichek, I guess last week at KubeCon, and he was saying that a DCO process is perfectly acceptable, and that I think is probably the easiest path forward rather than getting into CLAs and stuff like that. So unless you guys, go off and talk about it with your respective companies and stuff, but and see if you're okay with the DCO process and just signing PRs with that. I think that is the easiest path forward. And next time we get back together, we'll see if there are any concerns with that and try to move forward there. One other thing relative to the governance process here is I did open up a pull request, and it's PR number 2. And this one is something I wanted to make you guys aware of. So because we don't have an initial set of maintainers for the spec yet, we need to obviously come up with some sort of rules for how we're going to manage changes made to the spec. And what I did is I put together a process that sort of follows the process that I'm used to for standards bodies, where basically you consider changes to the specification on regularly scheduled meetings or phone calls, whatever that you may have. And people will basically offer up suggestions, people vote on them, and then they get merged or approved during those meetings themselves, rather than doing offline PR merging. Now, I know that technically could mean we could go a little bit slower, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't switch our process to a normal PR LGTM process later on once we get a well-defined set of regular contributors who we say, yeah, they'll make those guys, the maintainers. But for now, I think this process can work. And basically what I'm suggesting is, and you can take a look at the PR because we're not going to merge it for a while anyway. But basically the PR says during meetings, people are going to suggest changes through the PR process. Once the PR is ready for people to, consider on the call, we will basically go through sort of a Robert's rule kind of thing, right? Someone will make a motion to either accept or close the PR. If there's no objections at all, then we'll do it. If there is some potential objection and we can't resolve the concern, then we'll actually go to a formal vote. And we do a vote based upon the only people that get the votes are the people who have voting rights. Now, you obtain voting rights by attending the last 3 out of 4 meetings, and only 1 person per company is allowed to vote. Okay, so you can think long and hard about those rules. But the reason I did that is because, one, that's a common pattern that I've seen in standards bodies that seem to work fairly well. But it also tries to avoid the situation where you get people who only show up for votes, and that's it, because I don't think it's fair to have them be just as equal as someone who shows up on a regular basis. But 2, it also avoids the situation where companies, in essence, stuff the ballot by getting a ton of their people to attend phone calls for the sole purpose of obtaining voting rights, and then weighting down the vote in their favor because more than one company or more than one person from that company is allowed to vote, right? So I tried to take a whole bunch of different things into consideration based upon previous experience. So take a look at the doc. We're not going to, like I said, we're not going to make a decision now, but review it, see what you guys think, discuss it with your respective companies. But I do think this type of process, perhaps with minor tweaks, but something along these lines, it might be the most fair thing going forward, at least initially. And like I said, this doesn't preclude us from switching to a normal LGTM process with a fixed list of maintainers at some point in the future. But since we don't have that list right now, I'm not sure how we would create one without it being some sort of popularity contest kind of thing. And I don't want to get into that kind of stuff. So anyway, let me go ahead and pause there and see if there are any questions.
Hey, Doug, Austin here. I think this is an excellent lightweight governance process that is really going to help us move fast and get stuff done. So I'm all for it right now. I think it's at least a very strong starting point for process in general.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other comments?
Close on to the process as well. Makes sense.
Okay, thank you, Wayne.
I think it's a good process now, but I think eventually, or sooner, we are going to change to the maintainers that mode, right?
I'd like to, yeah, and at some point in the future, we can discuss how we're going to pick those maintainers, right? Maybe look at the number of PRs submitted or just contributions to the group or something like that. But we can figure that out later, yeah. Okay, so like I said, I don't want to make a decision right here on this call. Take your time, read it very carefully. And then hopefully in the next meeting, we'll have a more in-depth discussion and see if there are any changes people would like to propose. But anyway, that's the initial thought I had on that. So on that one. All right. Okay, before we move on, any other questions or comments relative to governance of the new repo itself that I may have forgotten about? All right, I'm not hearing any. Moving on. All right, Austin, there are a couple of things you want to discuss. Objectives and timelines. You want to lead that one?
Sure thing. Yes. So we have the initial an initial draft or a starting point of the specification. And sounds like we have some process coming together. That's fantastic. I think it will be helpful to us to start setting some milestones for this effort and start laying it out on a timeline. And then also keep in mind Cloud Native Con Europe, which is coming up in May, as potentially a good time to announce this again with just a lot more work behind it and a lot more stakeholders behind it.
Yep, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sorry.
Sure. So I think we should discuss what that might look like for a little bit and start kind of drafting those objectives or milestones and schedule out somewhere close to the repo or in the repo.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I apologize. My internet might be acting up. I seem to have lost the list of participants. It's very weird. Okay. So how do you want to deal with gathering a list of objectives? Is this something you'd like to just put together in a Google Doc someplace, or do you want to do some sort of PR process to have a doc, like a design doc or something kind of thing inside the repo? How do you want to work that?
I think we should put it right in the repository as close as possible to the specification, so that everybody who reads it, gets excited about the effort, knows exactly what's coming next and what we're collectively seeking to achieve. So that's my suggestion. And I'll just throw out, for the sake of discussion, some potential milestones. I think that we should, continue with the scope that's included in the specification, and try to get a version of this specification finished, something that we all agree upon is kind of like a minimum viable product of the specification. And that spec should include not only these attributes that we're talking about to help describe events, but also a description of use cases and anything else needed to help tell the end-to-end story of this effort overall, and not just the technical specifics. And see if we could do like I guess what would be a major version of the specification. In addition, once we've established that, I think we could start investigating building some tooling, some libraries, adapters, connectors, whatever, around the spec, to start building out an ecosystem and give people some things that they could play with. Maybe it's something as simple as it translates Lambda or AWS events into the open event format or something like that, a simple library that does that. But I think if we get, a major version of the spec, kind of dress it up a bit, make sure that the whole story is presented well for newcomers, and start building out a bit of the ecosystem, I think if we accomplish all those, we'll be in a very good position to announce this, definitely by Cloud Native Con Europe, if not before that.
Sounds good to me. I like the idea. Any comments, questions? Okay. Austin, would you be willing to take the action item to put together a PR for initial draft of those docs they just mentioned?
Sure thing.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right. All right. Any other comments on that one, Austin?
No, not at the moment. I'll draft something out, and then I think we could have a more informed conversation once that's finished.
Yep, sounds good. Before we move on to the next topic, are there any questions or comments for Austin on that one? All right, cool. In that case, last agenda item, Austin, this one's yours as well. Next focused areas.
Sure. This is specific to the technical details of the specification. Generally the question is, what do we focus on next in regards to those attributes? I guess with our governance model, people are generally able to focus on anything, right? They could submit a PR to suggest changes. However, I will say, just bring up a couple things a couple places where we left off when we were working on this earlier. And that was simply, we outlined a scope. It's in the specification of things we want to focus on now, generally, for the spec. Included in there, of course, is just setting on the minimum viable attributes you need to describe events. So just trying to figure out what other attributes should be included in this very early phase is definitely a place where we need more input. And again, if it's kind of experimental attributes or attributes that we're not sure, there is a backlog where people can stick them within the specification for future consideration. And also there's this extensions area in the attributes where people can put in custom extensions. And that's also a great place to try out experimental stuff for a little while and see if it gets industry adoption. And later on, we can merge it into the main attributes. But just keep those things in mind. Additionally, when we had these conversations before, we discussed heavily the semantics, the meaning behind all the attributes that we have. But we postponed discussing the actual property names of the attributes because we didn't want to burn up a whole bunch of time discussing names, because often that's a hard thing to agree on. So just coming up with, if there's a way that the names of the attributes could be simplified, could be cleaner, could be improved on any level, that's a great area to focus on. Additionally, use cases, just getting some, focusing on the story around this whole effort, the use cases, what it could be used for today, what it could potentially be used for tomorrow. I think that's going to help out a lot. So yeah, those are the key areas where we left off, and great areas to start contributing if you're interested.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, obviously, as you said, for adding new attributes or names, or even tweaking the naming, if people aren't happy with the names that you guys had come up with, obviously just submitting PRs is the appropriate way to make that happen. But at the same time, I'm wondering, is there a different process we should follow to speed up the process or encourage more activity around identifying what attributes are missing? Or should we just sit back and say, if people think things are missing, then it's up to them to think of it and bring it up on their own. And if we go for a little bit of time without any PRs, then we're going to say, hey, are we done? And that's a 1.0.
Sure. Yeah. Bit of a tough one. I think we're gonna end up just having to draw the line somewhere. And again, there's nothing wrong with just putting out, in my opinion, putting out like a minimum viable product of this, because we can always add more later. But getting it out there into the ecosystem and building some minimal tooling around it so that people can actually put it to use. I think that's, once that's available, then we'll start getting a lot more requests around, what people need in the attributes and beyond.
Yeah, so one of the things I think you mentioned that you create in your action item is a milestone document or something like that. I think once you actually create that and start putting a straw man proposal out there for what should be included, as long as it's not too generic, I think you're probably going to get some feedback from people, and that might help force people to decide what they want, obviously in and out of the MV, minimal viable, what were you calling attributes, MVA? Is that what you say?
Sure.
Yeah, what's in or out of the MVA, and that might help force the discussions that I think you're looking for here. But short of that, is there any other process that you were looking for as part of the discussion, or was this topic for the agenda simply to ask people to start thinking?
Yes, the topic was simply to get people to start thinking.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so what we'll do is, I guess I think now that the spec is out there, I suspect once the holiday vacations are over with, come January, I think we will start seeing more activity pop up there. Obviously, with the spec just getting merged today, people didn't really have a chance to look at it yet. So if by, say, the first or second phone call we have in January, if we're not getting a whole lot of activity, then I'm going to start worrying. But as of right now, I think you'll just need time to mull it over.
Yep.
I agree. Yep. Any other things related to that one? Okay. In that case, I guess the last agenda item, so I lied before, is when is the next meeting? Now, personally, I'm supposed to be on vacation, I think, starting yesterday, but obviously that's not working out too well. What do other people think? Should we call it quits for the year, or do you want to try to have one more meeting next week? What are people's vacations looking like for next week?
I think it's better to start in January because I'm going to go on vacation too. I guess quite some people is going to go on vacation, and then we'll have very minimum attendance.
Okay, that's one vote for January. Any other opinions?
I'm open for both options, so I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Since I've only heard one preference so far for going to January, I'm going to propose that we do that, unless I hear any objections. Okay.
Yeah,
so
I don't have a preference, Jeff. I'm okay. Either option.
Okay. I'm assuming that most people are probably not going to be available January 4th. They're probably still going to be on vacation. Is that true? So we probably push it out to January 11th. Does that sound right? Because I can do it either way. This is really up to you guys. My wife is used to me working on vacation. So I'm going to start picking on people. Kathy, since you spoke up last time, what's your preference?
I'm just thinking, for January, yeah, I'm fine. I'm open to this either way. But January 11th, I'm going to be on business trip. So, but that's fine.
Okay. Austin, do you have a preference for the 4th or the 11th?
Personally, I can make either date. I'm just thinking about some of the other people who want to participate, whether they'll be available around that time. I'm going to say actually maybe January 11th would be better.
Okay, one vote for the 11th. Chad, do you have an opinion?
I don't really. I think 4th or 11th was fine for me.
Okay, one last person then, based on people who chose to speak up. William, you're the next volunteer. You have a preference?
Oh, I have strong preference for 11th because on the 4th is my birthday. So
make it all about you. I like that. Okay, excellent. We're going to go for the 11th. Excellent. Okay, I like that. With that, I think we're at the bottom of the agenda. Are there any other topics people would like to bring up at all then?
One thing that we discussed at that fantastic meeting we had last week in Austin was the overall schedule for the serverless working group and kind of outlining what we're going to be working on in 2018. I remember there was some discussion around, we'd focus on open events for a month and then start looking at other things maybe a month after that. Would it be helpful if we kind of drafted out a schedule for the working group and agenda for the things that we're going to be working on, for at least the first 6 months of 2018, if not the whole year?
Yeah, I think that would be very useful. I like that. I think it's good, so people can plan, their own work and this work group work better.
Yeah, I would agree. And actually, I'm wondering whether that kind of information would fit nicely under milestones, or is that not quite the right thing? We should create some sort of like calendar document.
Doug, are we referring to the milestones that I'm going to draft up for the open events effort?
Basically, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking working group in general, not open events. No, you're
Yes.
right. Okay. Sorry. I got too confused.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like the idea too. So unless people have an objection, I'll take the AI to create some sort of calendar or milestone or future action item kind of thing for the working group itself. And then we can, modify that as we go along with PRs or whatever to add or remove things.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I think in your presentation, right, you specify some items for the work group, right, that can be probably as a baseline to add more things.
Yes. Okay, Austin, were you going to say something in there? Was that your voice?
Yes, I think it's a good idea. I think if you want to, build community and build stakeholders and stuff, publicizing some plan, roadmap, schedule will certainly help. And I'm increasingly meeting people in the serverless ecosystem and just saying, join the serverless working group, and they're asking me, great, what are you up to? We're moving on to focus on standards this year. But anyway, yeah, if you publish that, I think that'll help with alignment, and we'll probably also get some feedback on priorities and what people are really interested in.
Yeah, and I'll just give you a heads up. Now that I'm thinking about it, I may not create a separate doc. I may just try to insert it somewhere into the README, but I'll see how it looks and feels. But I'll do something to get the information out there in some fashion, and then you guys can review it before I merge the PR.
Perfect.
I have a question on the open event for 1 month. Do you think we can finish in 1 month? I just feel...
I don't think that was the intent. The intent was to use 1 month as the time period by which we set up the infrastructure and process and stuff, just to make sure that we have a pattern that we can then repeat for the next work item.
Oh, okay. I see. So, okay.
Yeah. If we go with 1 month, then we'll be done by January 14th. So we'll have one meeting to approve it over time. That'd be a little quick.
Hey, I got a quick question. Is the doc that you've been referring to, that's spelling out what the other items are, the potential work streams and possible schedules, and there'll be collaboration around the definition of those? if so, it should probably be some kind of an asynchronous doc we can all contribute to until it's a little bit more solidified and then moved into something like a wiki or PR or GitHub.
Okay, I can do that. So hold on a minute. Let me change this to create a Google Doc.
Yeah, and the only reason I say that is if there's some things we can take away from this meeting, because there's a really big gap between now and the next one, and there's ways that we can asynchronously contribute to move things forward in that time frame rather than let things just sort of stall, other than, you know, their various work on open events. That would be nice.
Yep, agreed. Okay. All right, cool. I'll do that instead. Good idea. All right. Any other topics for today?
So sorry,
Okay.
I just missed, I think, the conversation about the repo, because I was browsing the current CNCF repo for proposals, and I was just thinking, right now I think we have 3 different events there. Are we planning to consolidate that as well?
What other events are you referring to?
We have a lot of
Yeah. Is it my internet, or was he cutting out on people?
I'm sorry, am I still cutting out?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's you or me, because my internet went out on me earlier today, so it could be me.
It sounds like William's cutting out for myself too.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry about that. I was just talking about the working group repo. There is a proposal folder there with 3 events right now. Are we planning to consolidate that right now? Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay, I think I know what you're referring to. You're talking about CADF.
Yep, cloud events.
Yeah. So what we decided was we're going forward with the open events specification as Austin had put together through his collaborative efforts. And the other 2 specifications are going to be used as a fodder or input into our work going forward. So for example, from the CADF team, Matt Rakowski and those guys, for example, they may use CADF as steal some ideas from CADF and use that to create PRs against our open eventing spec.
Right. Yeah, I guess I'm just saying that as it is right now, it looks like it's 3 different proposals. I mean, I remember that we were talking about using those as input, right? But it just feels like those are 3 different ongoing proposals, right?
Okay, so hold on.
And I think we're settled on open events.
Yeah.
Maybe the naming will change, but
yeah. So okay, hold on. Where in the serverless working group web pages are those 3 listed? I'm trying to find it right now.
all the way up.
I think it's in the proposals folder.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I'm not inclined to remove those, only because I don't want to lose the fact that someone submitted them at some point. And just because something's in the proposals folder doesn't mean it's necessarily up for consideration. Would it help if I renamed some of those folders in there to indicate that they're old or no longer under consideration or something like that? Would that help, or do you really think we should completely delete them?
Yeah, no, I think just renaming or even a README here, just informing that the actual work for the events is happening on another repo, that might be good enough.
Got it. Okay. Okay, I'll investigate that, if I can spell. I'll investigate that and figure out some way to make it clear. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's a good idea.
Hey, Doug, I'm going to throw out a quick suggestion. So we have that great proposals folder in the serverless working group repo. And I know that some of us are antsy to actually get started on standardizing other concepts around this area. Even though we're going to focus on open events for now, could people just submit some proposals for what like a standard function signature could look like, or a standard function package could look like? Could they submit these as pull requests right now, just for later consideration?
I would think so, because we didn't have any kind of bar preventing people from submitting these. So I would think so. But what do other people think?
I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Chad might be interested in this. Chad, did you hear that?
Yeah, I caught the tail end of it. Wasn't that specifically what the doc was for that we were talking about earlier, or is this for people that aren't on this call?
This is for, I'm not sure, I can't remember which doc you're referring to, but this is for anyone who has an idea for a standard or specification, sorry, around serverless concepts. They could just actually start working on this right now and just submit it in the form of a PR to that proposals folder in the serverless working group repo.
Got it.
Yeah, I would think that actually would probably, if they're at the stage where they actually want to do a formal proposal through a PR like that, I would think they would probably be best in their best interest to do both, submit that proposal under the proposals directory, as well as add it to this wiki or Google Doc or whatever we have going forward, so it can be a list of considerations.
Sure, makes sense to me.
Yeah. So Austin, I think the short answer to your question is yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we should write something about that in that README that William suggested, which I agree with. There should be some clarity around what's going on in that area.
Yep. Okay, hold on. Make a note of that. Okay, done. I'll do that. Well, I don't think the AI will do that too, since we need something else to work on too. All right. Any other topics for today? Going once. All right. In that case, we are done for the year, and we'll talk again back on January 11th. And just as a quick reminder, please do take a look.
Hey, Doug, you dropped out. I'm not sure if that was just on my end or if you dropped out for everybody.
Yeah, did we lose him?
Yeah, he's got a little red dot next to his name. That was like the grand finale too.
Okay. We should maybe we'll try and wrap it up without him, and he could let us know what to take a look at in the serverless Slack room.
Well, happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah, happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to William. Looking forward to working on all this stuff, all this cool stuff in the new year.
Thanks. Yeah.
Happy birthday, William.
Thanks.
See everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Anybody there?